A woman by the name of Pam Reynolds was an accomplished musician and wasn't someone who thought very deeply about spirit or God or the afterlife. In fact, she was known to be a skeptic. She was known to be overly pragmatic, shall we say, until 1991, when she underwent a rare, high-risk brain surgery to remove a large aneurysm near her brain stem. Now, the only way to safely perform Pam's surgery was to lower her body temperature to approximately 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Her heartbeat and breathing were stopped, and all blood was drained from her brain. During this period, she had EEG readings that confirmed that she had no measurable brain activity, rendering her clinically dead. However, during the procedure that she lived through, by the way, Pam experienced something extraordinary. During her surgery, when she was clinically not alive, her eyes were closed shut. They were actually covered in order for the surgery to be done. She felt herself float above the operating room, and she was able to see the doctors and the nurses at work. She saw the entire medical team in the room, and she recounted the exact instruments they used, even though she couldn't have possibly seen them. In the state that she was in, she was under deep anesthesia. Her eyes were closed. She also had earplugs in her ears that emitted loud, really loud clicks to monitor her brain stem activity. But despite this, Miss Reynolds was able to repeat verbatim the conversations that the surgical team had. I hope they were good conversations. Just saying, doctors and nurses. Like millions, and yes, the data show millions of people worldwide who have reported near-death experiences, or NDEs, often, by the way, during a cardiac event. Pam described what changed her forever, and that was she passed through a tunnel of light, and she was met by her relatives who had passed on before her, and they met her with unconditional love, a kind of unconditional love she had never felt before. She was overwhelmed by the feeling of love and peace, this profound sense of universal oneness is what she described she went through during that time. And then, like many others who've had a similar experience, she was told she had to return. It wasn't her time yet. Her life here wasn't done. And quickly she found herself back in her body. And when she woke up, like so many others before her, she was forever changed. This experience erased Pam's skepticism, and she realized that spirit is not only real, but it is right here and willing to guide us every step of the way, every breath of the way. Pam lived her life happily for the next 20 years before it was her time to cross over again. Due to the extraordinary medical conditions under which it occurred, Pam Reynolds' account is often considered one of the most compelling near-death experiences ever to be documented. And now, of course, there are skeptics, people who don't believe in NDEs, who write them off for a variety of reasons, and that is absolutely 100% their prerogative. For me, I choose to take stories like this and allow them to strengthen my own knowing. I allow them to buoy me in times when I am feeling separate from spirit. What a great reminder, right? What a great reminder. The power of this benevolent, loving, joyous universe is greater than we could ever imagine. In practitioner Shelley's beautiful talk last week, she said, "Your authentic self, like capital S self, is made up of starshine and grace." Isn't that beautiful? Your authentic self is made up of star shine and grace. She did not say your authentic self is made up of muscles, bones, and blood. Nope. No. You know, no matter how long any of you have been in this teaching, I think there is always something so incredibly valuable. It's valuable to me to go back to the bedrock of our teaching, to go back to the basics, if you will, because it is oh so easily easy, oh so easily easy to forget that we are made of starshine and grace. All of us, every single one of us, no matter where we live, if we live in a state that is red or blue or purple. We are all made of starshine and grace. And listen, I don't think that it takes a near-death experience to recognize spirit in your life, because I know that every single one of us has had our own God moments. We've had our own spiritual proof, if you will. Think about your own life. Maybe something you can actually point to, a time or a moment in your life when you knew that you were being guided, or something specific nudged you in a particular direction in your life. Think of all the miracles that you have already experienced. Meeting that person, going to that place, reading that book at the right time, finding that teacher, taking that class, finding a center for spiritual living, or whatever it is that is serving you, especially right now. Let those miracles, those ordinary, everyday miracles, inform and solidify your understanding of God or spirit or the angels. We're always at choice. Or we can, like the skeptics, just brush them off as coincidence. I want to invite you to pay deeper attention to those angel moments in your life, however small. And then, if you can, remember Pam's story. And again, let it buoy you, let it lift you up, let it remind you of this life that is God, that is spirit, that is source. We have a choice to either recognize that this life is all part of the divine, that we're all connected in it, or not. My talk today is called "The Choice is Always Yours." The Buddhist monk and teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, "We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness." We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. I've come to believe that there are two distinct kinds of separateness that us humans can sometimes feel. The first is the separateness we can sometimes feel from God or spirit. And the second is the separateness that we can sometimes feel from one another, hence red state, blue state, purple state. I'm going to talk a little bit about both of these two things and how we can choose to course correct when we find ourselves in those moments or that place of feeling separate and alone. I received a delightful email this week, and it's from a congregant that I just love, and she knows that I'm going to be sharing this with you. I had her in a class of mine about a year ago, and I remember, even before I received the email from her, I remember she was really troubled about her job. It was bringing her just an enormous amount of stress. But despite this, she decided to set a very strong intention for herself. And she was determined and dedicated to do the work to create or manifest, if you prefer that word, a different job that would bring her joy and growth and soul fulfillment. And over the course of the past year, whenever I saw her, I could see that she was staying the course. She was staying the course. She was deeply dedicated and focused on her intention to manifest this new job. The New Thought mystic, so beloved around here, Ernest Holmes, taught that we must be definite with the infinite. We must be definite with the infinite. He also taught that God or Spirit can only do for us what God can do through us. As St. Teresa of Avila taught, we are the hands and feet of God, or Spirit. And our clarity around what it is that we're going to shift, and the understanding that it will shift as a result of our thoughts and our actions, is fully and totally up to us. When we are definite with the infinite, and when we understand that Spirit works through us, when we make the decision to say, love more, or to get through this thing, or climb that mountain, or heal the fill in the blank thing in your life, or manifest a new job, one of the sweetest benefits of doing that work with the divine, and in New Thought, we do this in the form of affirmative prayer and meditation and gratitude work or forgiveness work or visioning or affirmations, all the things we teach here. When we do that work, when we are focused on our intention, whatever it is that we are intending for ourselves, we become closer to Spirit. We develop a closer relationship, like continual relationship with the divine. We increase our relationship and our connection to God. I guarantee you that this beloved congregant of ours is closer to Spirit today as a result of the work that she has put in, all of that spiritual work, than she was a year ago. That's like one of the sweet benefits. What we focus on always, always, always increases. So the question becomes, what is it that you are focusing on? Is it division and separation from, say, something you don't believe in? Or is it standing up, taking a stand for that which you do believe in? Now, this lovely woman could have just stayed miserable in her job and not done the inner and outer work necessary to raise her consciousness to the next vibrational level so that she would be able to call in and co-create a new and wonderful experience in this job that would be beneficial for all. She could have just stayed and just blamed everyone. It was pretty bad. I remember her talking about it. She could have just stayed, complained about it, stayed in that vibrational energy, which would have kept her there. You see, if she just stayed in that vibrational energy, even if she complained about it, but like applied for other jobs, but continuously complained or blamed, you think she would have gotten another job that was better? Absolutely not. It just would have been in a different building. However, by applying all that she'd been learning in our New Thought teaching, how to partner with the divine, how to co-create with Spirit, she was able to change her life for the better. In her email to me this week, she wrote, "For a year and 3 months, I worked with this intention. Some days I had a lot of focus on it. Other days, I just let it be known so purely within me that this intention would come to fruition in its divine time. In time, on time, God's time, indeed. My last day in my current role is May 9th, and I start with my new team on May 12th. Congratulations, love." Yeah. And this brought me to the place of really thinking deeply about this fact that we are always, all of us, at choice in every area. So the question then becomes, and this is meant to be a gentle inquiry, what choices are you making right now in your life? Another way of asking that is, what repetitive thoughts are you having in your life right now? And are they serving you? Are there some choices that you would like perhaps to shift, to change? Again, this is meant to be very gentle. Or perhaps for you, the question is there something in your own life that is calling to you right now? Is there something that is calling to you? And if so, what might be keeping you from that? And then the very next question is, are you open to partnering with Spirit or the divine to help you? You might be open to it. You might be open to the next thing, the next idea, the next intention. But are you willing to make a commitment to love as your divine partner to help manifest, co-create that change, that shift, that up-leveling of that whatever energy field that is? Are you willing to do that? In my experience, when we surrender to the gentle nudges of Spirit, when we listen to our inner light, as the Quakers call it, our inner knower, when we are definite with the infinite in our intentions and we follow through with our actions daily, we have the opportunity then to really, really take off for flight. Spirit moves through us and takes actions through us in ways that we could not even ever imagine because we're open to it. Our whole world changes. And the choice is always yours. It is your choice. From the Kabbalah, in the ancient writing of the Zohar, which is the foundational text in Jewish mysticism, it says, all souls are derived from one and the same soul, and all are part of one another. All souls are derived from one and the same soul, and all are part of one another. During her miraculous surgery, Pam Reynolds learned just how connected we all are on the seen and unseen sides of life. You know, so often we forget that Spirit is with us and wanting to support not only our individual journeys, our individual lives, but our collective human experience. 80-year-old Lynn McFarland is a retired educator who was carried out of a Tennessee Senate hearing by state troopers while peacefully protesting. You may have seen this on the news. The Republican legislature there was trying to get legislation passed that allowed authorities to target immigrant elementary school children. And she showed up quietly, and she said no, and her no was a sacred yes. The image of Ms. McFarland being carried out was all over the local news there in Tennessee. Her brave act of nonviolent resistance reminded the people of Tennessee, however they voted, that we belong to each other. And in the days that followed, the good people of Tennessee made the choice and showed up in droves, standing together to protect immigrant children and their parents, and the bill failed to pass. Those good folks had a choice. They chose to show up. They chose to stand up despite party lines. They remembered their connectedness, and they chose love, and they helped create change. Can you imagine if no one had shown up? What the circumstances would be there now? God bless them, all of them. You may have heard of Mohsen Madawi, the Palestinian Columbia student, a permanent resident of the United States since 2015, who was wrongfully detained for peacefully protesting the war in Gaza. Mohsen Madawi has deep ties to his community in Vermont, where he's known for his peaceful advocacy and for his interfaith work. And local residents, including Jewish community members and faith leaders, showed up immediately in front of the detention center where he was being held. They had a bullhorn outside so he could hear them loving him up from outside, and they were there for 16 days straight, standing up for him. And the wonderful, wonderful news is this week he was released. A judge found his detainment to be unlawful. Those beloved people in Vermont made the choice to tirelessly rally for his release, recognizing that he was their brother. He was in their human family. When one of us hurts, all of us hurt. From the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah said, "So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth." So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. During this time where we can find ourselves feeling separate from one another, just like the times where we can feel separate from God or Spirit, I invite us to allow the inspiration from the good people of Tennessee and Vermont and seek out ways in our own community here or wherever you may live and see where and how you can support your family members. How might you do that is another question. Nothing is too small or too large. Nothing. Those of you who were able to show up at the rally with me in Pioneer Square this past Thursday on May 1st, and those of you who showed up all over the country, and for those of you who for whatever reason couldn't show up, but showed up on social media and shared those posts, showed up watching the news and clapped from your couch. It all counts. It all counts. We all felt the unity when we were there. Mike and Laura and Susan and Doe and, oh my gosh, all of us, Alan, we all felt that unity. And I just want to say something for those of you, because there were a few that we were there and it was their first time showing up at a rally. And I understand what it's like if you've never done that before. It can feel a little intimidating. But here's what happens. We gather together, we walk together, like down the street, and we join hundreds of like-minded, kindred spirits. Wendy, you were there. All of us together, and within moments, there is this understanding of unity and oneness. There is this complete and total surrender to the love of the whole. And so I just want to share that with you. As we move forward in these weeks and months, there will be many more rallies and marches and opportunities for us to join as a community in whatever ways we do. And I invite you to just know that there is enormous joy in that experience, and there is the incredible experience of oneness. Would you say that, Mike? Yeah. And those of you who've done marches and rallies, there's an incredible oneness that is felt. I liken it to the tunnel of light that Pam experienced. It's like that. You look out and there's so much love and there's so much willingness. Peggy, you were there. I invite you to consider joining us next time in whatever way works for you, but just know that like the people of Tennessee, like the people of Vermont, we too are being called. And what I know with my whole being is that every single one of us here will stand when asked. This I know to be true. So this week, I invite you to tune into the everyday miracles, how Spirit shows up in your life. Tune into those nudges, those moments, those sacred spiritual moments that we can so quickly write off. Pay attention to them. That's God in your life. That's Spirit in your life. Give yourself permission to magnify those moments as your normal, because they are your normal. Allow yourself to feel your life as a spiritual life, for that is what it truly, truly is. Secondly, I invite you to gently just ask yourself, is there an intention that you might have that you would like to bring to fruition? And if so, I invite you to make the decision to partner with God, with Spirit, with Source, to be in connection with the divine and watch how the path unfolds before you. It is extraordinary. Gently notice the choices that you are making right now. And know that you have the power within you to adjust accordingly. And finally, I invite you to lean into our community, your kindred spirits, in whatever way you can. We will always, always stand up for you. The choice is always yours, my friend.